Welcome. Tonight, you are walking a quiet path through an ancient forest. The trees here are old, older than memory, older than the stories anyone tells. Their trunks are thick and gnarled, wrapped in moss that glows faintly green even in the fading light. Their branches reach high above you, so high that you cannot see where they end, creating a canopy that filters the last rays of evening sun into soft, golden beams that fall through the leaves like gentle rain. The air smells of earth and growing things, of pine and cedar and the faint sweetness of wildflowers you cannot see but know are there, hidden in the undergrowth. The path beneath your feet is soft with fallen leaves and pine needles, accumulated over decades, maybe centuries. Your footsteps make almost no sound. You have been walking for some time, though you cannot say how long. Time moves differently here, under these ancient trees. But you are not lost. You are simply walking, and ahead, through the trees, you begin to see something, a light, warm and steady, not flickering like a fire, but glowing with the gentle constancy of a paper lantern or an oil lamp. The light draws you forward, and as you continue down the path, the trees open slightly, and you see it clearly now. A small tea house, nestled among the trees as if it has grown there naturally, as if it is as much a part of the forest as the oaks and pines themselves. It is built of dark wood that has weathered to a deep, rich brown. The roof is thatched with reeds and slopes gently. Paper screens glow from within with that warm, welcoming light you saw through the trees. Smoke rises from a small chimney, carrying the scent of burning wood and, underneath that, the subtle fragrance of tea. You are tired. You have walked a long way not just today, but for longer than you can articulate. And this tea house, appearing here in the forest at just this moment, feels like exactly what you need. As you approach, you notice the detail of the place, the careful way the stones have been placed to form a path to the entrance. The small garden beside the door, where a few simple plants grow: bamboo, ferns, a single camellia bush with white flowers that seem to glow in the gathering dusk. You do not need to knock. The door opens before you reach it, as if someone inside has been expecting you. Tonight, you do not need to explain yourself. You do not need to justify why you are here or prove that you deserve rest. You are welcome simply because you have arrived, simply because you exist, simply because you are here, tired and in need of warmth and shelter and the quiet company of stories. Let your body settle now into wherever you are resting. Let your shoulders drop, releasing whatever tension they have been holding, perhaps for hours, perhaps for days, perhaps for years. Let your jaw unclench. Let your hands open, palms up or palms down, whatever feels more natural to you right now. Let your breath slow and deepen, becoming softer with each exhalation. You are not trying to breathe in any particular way. You are simply allowing your breath to find its own rhythm, its own pace, like water finding its level. Feel the warmth around you, the blanket, the bed, the very air itself holding you gently. Feel the safety of this moment. You are not in danger. You are not under threat. You have arrived at a place of rest, and you are welcome here. Tonight, I am going to tell you stories from this tea house, where a tea master named Jisei and the students who found their way to him learned that gratitude is not something you feel only when life gives you what you want. It is something you practice constantly, even especially when life gives you very little. They learned that gratitude is not about having everything, but about noticing everything. About seeing the beauty and the gift in what is already here, what has always been here, waiting for attention. These are not grand stories. They are small stories, as quiet and simple as the tea house itself. Stories of tea and firelight, of falling leaves and warm cups held in cold hands. Stories of people who arrived empty and left full, not because they gained anything, but because they learned to see what they already had. So close your eyes now, if you haven't already. Feel the warmth of the fire you imagine burning in the tea house. Feel the safety of the forest surrounding you, holding you in its ancient, patient embrace. And let the first story begin, where a young traveler arrives at the tea house carrying a hunger he cannot name and learns what it means to truly taste. There was once a young man named Sora who traveled alone through the mountains and forests of the region, moving from town to town, city to city, temple to temple, always searching for something he could not quite name or articulate, even to himself. He was 25 years old, the son of a wealthy merchant family in a large city many days' journey from these mountains. He had been educated in the best schools. He had studied literature, philosophy, calligraphy, music. He had worn fine clothes and eaten fine food. He had everything that his family's money could buy, which was considerable, but none of it had satisfied the deep hunger inside him. There was always something missing, something just beyond his reach, something he was certain he would find if he just kept looking, kept moving, kept searching. He had left home 2 years ago without really explaining to his family where he was going or why. He had simply packed a small bag one morning and walked out the door before sunrise, leaving behind a note that said only, "I need to find something. I will return when I have found it." Since then, he had visited dozens of places. He had seen famous temples with golden roofs and intricate carvings. He had climbed sacred mountains where monks lived in tiny hermitages carved into the rock face. He had attended philosophical lectures in great halls. He had studied with calligraphy masters and tea ceremony experts. He had tasted foods from every region, drunk wines from distant provinces, stood before paintings that were said to be so beautiful they could make a person weep, and yet the hunger remained. If anything, it had grown stronger, more acute, more painful with each passing month. Nothing satisfied. Nothing filled the emptiness. Nothing was enough. One autumn evening, as the sky turned violet and the air grew cold, Sora found himself on a narrow path leading into a dense forest. He was tired, bone-tired, soul-tired. His feet hurt. His body ached from weeks of travel. But more than physical exhaustion, he felt a deep weariness of spirit, a sense that perhaps he had been wrong, that perhaps what he was seeking did not exist, that perhaps he had given up everything for nothing. At the entrance to the forest path, he saw a small wooden sign, weathered and faded, with characters carved into it that he could barely read in the fading light. Tea house. All are welcome. Sora was tired and cold, and he realized, quite hungry. He had not eaten since morning. He followed the path into the forest. The forest was deep and seemed to grow darker quickly as the sun set. The path wound between massive trees whose trunks were wider than he could reach around with both arms. The canopy above was so thick that very little sky was visible. The only sound was his own footsteps on the soft earth and the occasional call of an owl or the rustle of some small creature in the undergrowth. After walking for perhaps 20 minutes, though it was hard to judge time in the dimness under the trees, he saw light ahead, not bright, but warm and steady. As he drew closer, the tea house revealed itself a small, simple building that seemed to be part of the forest itself, built with such harmony with its surroundings that it was hard to say where the natural ended and the human-made began. Sora approached and knocked softly on the wooden frame of the door. The door slid open almost immediately. An old man stood there, small and slightly bent, with a face like weathered bark, deeply lined, warm, kind. His eyes were dark and bright, and they looked at Sora with such gentle acceptance that Sora felt something in his chest unexpectedly tighten. "Welcome," the old man said, bowing slightly. "Please come in. You must be cold and tired." Sora returned the bow more deeply. "Thank you. Yes, I am." He stepped inside, removing his shoes at the entrance as was proper. The interior of the tea house was simple, a single room with tatami mats on the floor, low wooden beams crossing the ceiling, paper screens on the windows. A small hearth sat in one corner where a fire burned quietly, its smoke rising through a vent in the roof. The walls were bare except for a single hanging scroll with brushwork of what appeared to be a single autumn leaf, rendered in black ink with such economy and precision that Sora found himself staring at it. "Sit, please," the old man said, gesturing to a cushion near the fire. "I will make tea." Sora sat, grateful for the warmth, grateful for the hospitality. He watched as the old man moved through the small space with slow, deliberate movements. Every action seemed intentional, considered. The old man added wood to the fire, very carefully, adjusting the pieces so they would burn evenly. He filled a kettle with water from a ceramic jar and placed it on the fire. He took a small wooden box from a shelf and opened it, measuring out tea leaves with what looked like a bamboo scoop, his movements unhurried and precise. The process seemed to take forever. Sora found his mind wandering impatiently. He thought about all the places he had been in the last 2 years, the temples he had visited, the masters he had studied with, however briefly, the famous gardens he had walked through, the paintings and sculptures and works of art he had examined, always looking for something, always hoping that this time, this peace, this place would be the thing that filled the emptiness inside him. He thought about how far he still had to travel. There were other cities he wanted to see, other temples, other masters who might have answers he was seeking. Finally, after what felt like an impossibly long time but was probably only 15 or 20 minutes, the old man poured tea into 2 simple clay cups and placed one before Sora. Sora picked up the cup, grateful for something to warm his cold hands. He drank quickly, in 2 large swallows. It was good tea, clean, slightly bitter, warming as it went down. He set the cup down and looked at the old man. "Thank you, that was good." Dak said and turned sen buys out profrindol, tenaners, and expiredol. The old man was still holding his own cup, not drinking yet, just holding it in both hands and looking at Sora with those dark, penetrating eyes. "Did you taste it?" he asked quietly. Sora frowned, not understanding the question. "Yes, it was good tea." "No," the old man said gently. "You drank it, but did you taste it?" Sora opened his mouth to respond, then closed it again. He was not sure what to say. Of course he had tasted it. He had drunk it. What was the difference? The old man smiled slightly, a small expression that somehow held great kindness. "Here, I will pour you another cup. But this time, do not think about where you are going next. Do not think about what you are searching for. Do not think about whether this tea is as good as other tea you have drunk in other places. Simply taste this tea, in this moment, in this cup." He poured another cup and placed it before Sora. Sora picked it up more slowly this time, suddenly unsure of himself. He looked at the cup, really looked at it. It was simple, rough clay, unglazed, with a slightly irregular shape that showed it had been made by hand. The tea inside was a pale green color, clear, with steam rising from it in soft curls. He brought the cup to his lips and took a small sip. This time, instead of just swallowing, he held the tea in his mouth for a moment. He noticed the temperature hot, but not too hot. He noticed the texture on his tongue. He noticed the taste, the bitterness. Yes, but underneath it a subtle sweetness, and underneath that something almost grassy, earthy, alive. He swallowed slowly, feeling the warmth travel down his throat and spread through his chest. He took another sip, and another, each time noticing more the slight astringency that made his mouth feel clean, the way the flavor changed as the tea cooled slightly, the satisfaction of warmth entering his cold body. When the cup was empty, he set it down carefully, reverently almost. He looked up at the old man and found himself at a loss for words. The tea had not changed. It was the same tea, but his experience of it had been completely different. "It is different this time," he said quietly. The old man nodded. "No, the tea is the same. You are different. This time, you were present. You were here, fully here, tasting this tea instead of thinking about other tea, other places, other moments. You were not looking for something else. You were experiencing what was in front of you." Sora felt something uncomfortable stirring in his chest. "I have been traveling for 2 years," he said slowly, "trying to find something. I don't even know what. But I have visited so many places, seen so many things, and I feel like I have seen nothing. I have been everywhere and nowhere." The old man poured himself tea and finally took a sip, his expression peaceful. "Yes, because you were looking for something else. You were not seeing what was in front of you. You were seeing only what you hoped to find, what you thought you should find. You were not present with what was actually there." He gestured around the simple room. "This tea house is small. The tea is ordinary. There is nothing special here, nothing remarkable. And yet, if you look closely, if you are truly present, there is everything. There is the warmth of the fire. There is the taste of tea. There is shelter from the cold. There is the beauty of that single leaf painted on the scroll. There is this moment, this breath, this experience of being alive and aware." Sora looked around the room, really looked this time. He saw the grain of the wood in the beams, each line telling a story of the tree it had been. He saw the way the firelight played across the walls, creating subtle shifts of shadow and light. He heard the crackle of burning wood, the gentle sound of their breathing, the distant call of some night bird in the forest. He smelled the smoke, the tea, the faint scent of cedar, and for the first time in 2 years, the hunger inside him quieted, not disappeared, but quieted, as if it had been fed something it needed. "Gratitude," the old man said softly, "is the practice of seeing, of noticing, of being awake to what is already here. Most people think gratitude means feeling thankful when good things happen, but real gratitude is deeper than that. It is recognizing that every moment contains gifts, if you are present enough to receive them." He looked at Sora directly. "You have been traveling for 2 years, searching for something extraordinary, but you have been blind to the extraordinary nature of ordinary things. A cup of tea, a warm fire, a roof over your head, the fact that you are breathing, alive, able to experience any of this." Sora felt tears suddenly sting his eyes, unexpected and powerful. "I thought I needed to find something, to achieve something, to become something. And now," the old man asked, "now I think maybe I just need to see, to notice, to be here." The old man smiled, his weathered face transforming with warmth. "Yes, that is the beginning." Sora stayed at the tea house that night. The old man gave him a blanket and a place by the fire. As Sora lay down, exhausted, he looked at the flames dancing in the hearth, really looked at them. Each flame was different, unique, existing for just a moment before transforming into the next moment. Beautiful and ephemeral and perfect exactly as it was. He fell asleep watching the fire, and for the first time in 2 years, the sleep was deep and dreamless and peaceful. When he woke in the morning, sunlight was filtering through the paper screens, creating a soft golden glow in the small room. The old man was already awake, sitting in meditation, his back straight, his hands folded, his face serene. Sora lay still for a moment, not wanting to disturb him. But then the old man opened his eyes and smiled. "Good morning. Did you sleep well?" "Yes," Sora said, and realized it was true. "Better than I have in a very long time." They had tea together in the morning light. Simple tea, nothing special. But Sora tasted every sip, noticed every sensation, felt genuine gratitude for this ordinary, extraordinary moment. When it was time to leave, Sora bowed deeply to the old man. "Thank you for the tea, for the shelter, for teaching me to see." The old man bowed in return. "I taught you nothing. I only invited you to taste your tea. The seeing that is something you did yourself." Sora shouldered his small pack and turned toward the door. Then he paused and looked back. "May I ask, what is your name?" "Jisei," the old man replied. "Jisei," Sora repeated. "I will not forget this night, or this lesson." "The lesson is not something to remember," Jisei said gently. "It is something to practice. Every day, every moment, every cup of tea." Sora nodded, bowed once more, and walked back out into the forest. But he walked differently than he had walked before, more slowly, noticing the way morning light fell through the leaves, noticing the sound of birds waking in the trees, noticing the coolness of the air, the softness of the path under his feet, the simple miracle of being alive and able to perceive any of this. The hunger inside him was still there, but it was changing, transforming from a desperate grasping into something more like wonder, like curiosity, like gratitude for the journey itself, not just the destination he thought he was seeking. And he understood, walking that forest path in the morning light, that he had been given something precious in that small tea house. Not answers, but an invitation to be present, to see, to notice, to receive the gifts that every moment offers, if only we are awake enough to accept them. And deeper in the forest, where the path winds and the ancient trees grow even taller, another story waits to be told. There was once a student named Yuki who came to study at Jisei's tea house. She had heard of the old master from travelers who spoke of his wisdom and the peace they found in his presence. She was eager to learn the way of tea, to master the ceremony, to understand the philosophy. Yuki was 22 years old, serious and intelligent and driven by a desire to excel at everything she attempted. She had studied many disciplines: calligraphy, flower arrangement, poetry. In each, she had worked tirelessly to become skilled, to be recognized as accomplished, but nothing had brought her the deep satisfaction she sought. There was always a sense that she was performing, that she was trying to be impressive, that underneath the accomplishment there was an emptiness. She arrived at the tea house on a cool autumn afternoon, when the leaves had just begun to turn and the forest was painted in shades of gold and red and amber. Jisei welcomed her as he welcomed all visitors, with a bow, with tea, with quiet acceptance. After they had drunk tea together and she had explained why she had come, Jizi considered for a moment, his dark eyes thoughtful. "I will accept you as a student," he said finally, "but I have only one task for you to begin with." Yuki leaned forward, eager to hear what he would teach her first. She expected it would be something about the proper way to prepare tea, the correct movements of the ceremony, the philosophy underlying the practice. "Each morning," Jisei said, "you will sweep the path from the road to the tea house, that is all." Yuki blinked, certain she had misunderstood. "Sweep the path?" "Yes. Each morning before I wake, you will sweep the path, clear away the leaves and twigs and whatever has fallen during the night. Make the path clean for anyone who might visit that day." Yuki tried to hide her disappointment. This was not what she had come to learn. This was not wisdom or ceremony or philosophy. This was just maintenance, manual labor, something a servant might do. But she had come to study with this master, and she had promised to do whatever he asked. So she bowed and said, "Yes, teacher, I will sweep the path each morning." The next morning, she woke before dawn and took the bamboo broom from the small shed beside the tea house. She walked the path from the tea house to the road a distance of perhaps 200 steps and began to sweep. The work was simple, almost mindlessly so. She moved the broom back and forth, gathering leaves into piles, clearing the path. Within 20 minutes, the path was clean, and she was done. She returned to the tea house. Jisei was awake, preparing morning tea. He looked at her work and nodded. "Good. Tomorrow you will do it again." And so she did. Each morning, she swept the path. Each morning, the leaves had fallen again overnight. The path that she had made clean the day before was covered once more with leaves and small twigs and pine needles. After a week, Yuki began to feel frustrated. What was the point of this? She was learning nothing. She was gaining no skills. She was wasting her time performing a task that would need to be done again the next day and the day after that, endlessly, meaninglessly. After 2 weeks, frustration had turned to anger. She felt like she was being mocked or tested in some way that made no sense. She had come here to learn wisdom, and instead she was sweeping leaves. One morning, as she swept with sharp, irritated movements, Jisei appeared beside her on the path. He said nothing at first, just watched her work. Finally, he spoke. "Why are you angry?" Yuki stopped sweeping and looked at him, her jaw tight. "Because this is pointless. I sweep the path every day, and every day the leaves fall again. The path is never clean for long. I am doing nothing. I am learning nothing." Jisei nodded as if he had expected this answer. He knelt down slowly, his old joints creaking with the movement, and picked up a single leaf from the path. He held it up to the morning light that was just beginning to filter through the trees. The leaf was golden yellow, veined with delicate lines of darker color, perfect in its shape despite being slightly curled at the edges where it had begun to dry. "Look at this," he said. "Do you see it?" Yuki glanced at it impatiently. "It is just a leaf." "No," Jisei said, his voice gentle but firm. "It is not just a leaf. It is the only leaf exactly like this in the entire world. This particular leaf grew on a specific branch of a specific tree. It was shaped by specific winds and specific rains and specific amounts of sunlight. It turned this exact shade of yellow at this exact time in autumn. It fell on this exact morning and landed on this exact spot on the path. And now it is here, in my hand, and you are seeing it. Do you understand how extraordinary that is?" Yuki looked more closely at the leaf, really looked this time. She saw what he meant, the uniqueness of it, the particular way the veins branched, the specific color, the precise curl of its edges. When you sweep with resentment, Jisei continued, you see only the burden. You see leaves as obstacles to be removed, as proof that your work is never finished. But when you sweep with attention, with presence, with gratitude, you see each leaf, you notice its beauty, you recognize that the tree is generous, constantly giving, constantly offering. The leaves are not garbage, they are gifts, and your sweeping is not meaningless labor. It is an opportunity to witness beauty, to honor what the forest gives, to practice gratitude for the abundance that falls at your feet. He placed the leaf back on the path, arranging it carefully as if it were precious. You came here to learn wisdom. This is wisdom to see the extraordinary in the ordinary, to find meaning in simple acts, to practice gratitude for what is given, even when what is given seems like work. Yuki stood very still, the broom forgotten in her hands. She looked at the path covered in leaves, thousands of them, each one different, each one a small miracle of color and shape and existence. I was not seeing them, she said quietly. I was only seeing the work. Yes, Jisei replied. And now? Now I see. I see beauty. I see abundance. I see the gift. Jisei smiled. Then you are beginning to understand gratitude. It is not a feeling that arises only when pleasant things happen. It is a practice of attention, of choosing to see the gift in what is given, even especially when what is given requires effort from you. The next morning, Yuki swept the path differently. She moved more slowly, less mechanically. She noticed each leaf as she gathered it, the colors, the shapes, the way they had fallen. Maple leaves like small hands, oak leaves with their distinctive lobes, pine needles in soft clusters, each one different, each one beautiful. She noticed the way morning light slanted through the trees, creating patterns of brightness and shadow on the path. She noticed the coolness of the air, the way her breath made small clouds in front of her face. She noticed the sound of the broom against the earth, a soft shushing sound that was almost musical. And she found, to her surprise, that the work was no longer a burden. It had become something else, a meditation, a practice, a daily opportunity to witness beauty and abundance, to participate in the forest's endless cycle of giving and taking, dying and being reborn. Weeks passed, months passed. Yuki continued to sweep the path each morning, but she also began to learn other things from Jisei, the way of tea, yes, but also the way of seeing, the way of being present, the way of finding meaning in simple acts. She learned that gratitude was not something you felt occasionally when life was good. It was something you practiced constantly, a lens through which you chose to view the world, a decision to notice beauty rather than focusing only on difficulty, a commitment to see abundance rather than scarcity, gifts rather than burdens. One morning, many months after she had arrived, Jisei found her sitting on the path, surrounded by leaves, weeping quietly. He sat beside her, waiting. Finally, she spoke. I am grateful, she said, her voice thick with emotion. I came here thinking gratitude was something I would learn from books or lectures or ceremonies. But you taught me something else. You taught me that gratitude is something I practice with my hands, with my attention, with my daily choice to see beauty in what I am given. She picked up a red maple leaf, perfect and vivid. Every morning, the forest gives me thousands of these, thousands of small, perfect miracles. and I get to witness them. I get to touch them. I get to honor them by sweeping them carefully. How did I not see this before? How did I look at these leaves and see only work? Jisei placed a hand on her shoulder. You were not ready to see, but now you are. And that is the journey of gratitude, learning to see what was always there, waiting for your attention. Yuki stayed at the tea house for another year, learning many things from Jisei, but the lesson of the leaves was the one she carried with her when she eventually left, the one she never forgot, the one that shaped how she moved through the world for the rest of her life. She learned that gratitude transforms everything, that the same act, sweeping a path, making tea, walking through a forest, is completely different depending on whether you do it with resentment or with gratitude. That gratitude is not passive acceptance but active attention, a choice to engage fully with the world as it is rather than constantly wishing it were different. And whenever she found herself frustrated by repetitive tasks, by things that needed to be done again and again, by the endless maintenance that life requires, she would remember the leaves. She would remember that what looks like burden from one angle looks like gift from another, and she would choose gratitude. And where the firelight glows soft against the evening and the forest grows quiet with approaching night, another tale unfolds. There was once a man named Kenji who came to the tea house during the most difficult time in his life. He had lost his wife to a sudden illness just 3 months before. He had lost his work, a pottery studio that had burned to the ground in a fire, taking with it not just his income but years of accumulated tools, materials, finished pieces, everything. He had nothing left. No family, no money, no home, no purpose. He arrived at the tea house on a cold evening in late autumn, just as the first snow of the season was beginning to fall. He was gaunt, his clothes worn and dirty, his face hollowed out by grief and loss. He looked like a man who had given up on life but whose body had not yet received the message. Jisei opened the door and looked at Kenji with eyes that saw everything, that missed nothing but judged nothing. "Come in," he said simply. "You are cold. I will make tea." Kenji stumbled inside, his body shaking, whether from cold or from the effort of holding back tears. It was hard to say. He sat where Jisei indicated, by the fire, and pulled his threadbare coat tighter around himself. Jisei made tea in silence, his movements slow and deliberate as always. He poured a cup and handed it to Kenji. Kenji held the cup but did not drink. He stared into it, his eyes empty. "I have nothing," he said quietly, his voice hoarse. "I have lost everything. My wife is gone. My work is gone. I have nowhere to go, nothing to live for." Jisei sat across from him, holding his own cup, waiting. "What is the point?" Kenji continued, his voice breaking. "What is the point of any of this? Everything I built, everything I loved, gone. Just gone. And I am supposed to, what? Be grateful? Find meaning? I have nothing, nothing." Jisei looked at him with infinite patience, infinite compassion. Then he said, very gently, "You have this tea." Kenji looked up, confusion and anger flashing across his face. "What? You have this tea?" Jisei repeated calmly. "It is warm. It is good. It is here, in your hands, in this moment." Kenji's face twisted. "That is not enough. That is nothing. How can you even say that? You want me to be grateful for a cup of tea when I have lost everything that mattered." "I want you to be present with what you have," Jisei said quietly. "Not because it is enough to replace what you lost, but because it is something, and something is more than nothing." He gestured toward the window, where snow was falling steadily now, visible in the light from the tea house. "Come here. Look." Kenji stood reluctantly and joined Jisei at the window. Outside, the forest was being transformed by snow. The trees were becoming white. The path was disappearing under a blanket of pristine snow. The world was being made new, made clean, made beautiful by this falling white silence. "Do you see the snow?" Jisei asked. "Yes. Does it belong to you?" Kenji frowned. "No, of course not." "And yet," Jisei said, "it is here for you to see. It costs you nothing. It asks nothing of you. It simply falls, beautiful and pure, and you can witness it. Is that nothing?" Kenji stared out at the falling snow, feeling something shift uncomfortably in his chest. Jisei continued, his voice soft. "You say you have nothing, but you have breath in your lungs. You have this moment. You have the warmth of this fire. You have this tea. You have this view of snow falling. You have my company, for what it is worth. You have shelter from the cold. You have eyes to see and ears to hear and a mind to comprehend. Are these nothing?" Kenji felt tears begin to stream down his face. "But I want more than this. I want my wife back. I want my work back. I want my life back." "I know," Jisei said gently. "Of course you do. And I am not asking you to stop wanting those things or to stop grieving what you lost. Grief is necessary. Grief honors what you loved. But I am asking you to see that even in the midst of great loss, even when everything feels empty and pointless, there are still small gifts being offered to you every moment. And if you can notice them, if you can receive them with whatever small gratitude you can muster, then you are not completely lost. You still have connection to life, to the world, to this present moment." He placed a hand on Kenji's shoulder. "Gratitude is not about pretending everything is fine when it is not. It is not about toxic positivity or denying pain. It is about recognizing that life contains both loss and gift, both grief and beauty, both darkness and light. And it is about choosing even when it is hard, even when you do not want to notice the light that still exists, however small it may be." Kenji stood at the window, watching the snow fall, tears running down his face unchecked. Inside him, something was breaking open the hard shell of despair he had built around his heart. "I don't know how," he whispered. "I don't know how to be grateful when I am in so much pain." "Start small," Jisei said. "Just start with this moment, this breath, this cup of tea, this warmth, this snow. You do not have to be grateful for everything. Just notice one thing, one small gift. And tomorrow, notice one more. And the next day, one more." Slowly, over time, gratitude becomes a practice, a lens, a way of seeing that coexists with your grief, that does not replace it but lives alongside it. Kenji turned to look at Jisei, this strange old man who had welcomed him without question, who was offering him something he did not know he needed. "Can I stay here tonight?" he asked. "I have nowhere else to go." "Of course," Jisei replied. "Stay as long as you need." Kenji stayed for weeks, then months. Winter deepened, and the snow fell frequently, burying the forest in silence. During those months, Jisei did not pressure Kenji to do anything or be anything or feel anything other than what he was feeling, but he gently, persistently, invited him to notice small things. The way morning light came through the paper screens, the sound of fire crackling in the hearth, the taste of simple rice and vegetables, the warmth of tea in cold hands, the beauty of frost patterns on the windows, the sound of wind in the trees. At first, Kenji noticed these things with a kind of dull, mechanical attention, feeling nothing. But Juzi encouraged him to keep noticing anyway, to keep bringing his attention to the small gifts of each moment, even when they meant nothing to him. Gratitude is not a feeling, Jisei told him one evening as they sat by the fire. Or rather, it is not only a feeling, it is a practice. It is the practice of attention, of noticing, of acknowledging what is given. Sometimes that practice creates feelings of warmth or appreciation or joy, but sometimes it does not, and that is okay. You practice anyway, you notice anyway, because the practice itself begins to shift something inside you, even when you do not feel it happening. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, Kenji began to change. His face became less gaunt, his eyes less empty. He began to help Jisei with tasks around the tea house, carrying wood, preparing food, sweeping snow from the path. He began to sit in meditation with Jisei in the mornings, finding a kind of peace in the simple act of breathing, of being present. He began to write down things he noticed, things he was grateful for. At first, the list was short and felt forced. Warm tea, fire, roof over my head. But gradually the list grew longer and more detailed. The particular way afternoon light falls across the floor, the smell of pine smoke, the sound of Jisei's breathing during meditation, the texture of rough clay teacup in my hands, the quietness of snow falling at night, the fact that I am still alive, the fact that I can still feel, even if what I feel is pain, the memory of my wife's laugh, which I can still hear sometimes if I am very quiet. One spring morning, as the snow finally began to melt and the first green shoots of plants pushed up through the soil, Kenji stood outside the tea house and realized something. He was not happy. He was still grieving. He still missed his wife with an ache that felt permanent. He still felt lost about what his life would be now, what it could be without her, without his work. But he was also okay. He was present. He was noticing beauty. He was feeling gratitude for small things. He was connected to life again, even if that connection was thin and fragile. He went inside and found Jisei preparing morning tea. "Thank you," Kenji said. Jisei looked at him. "For what?" "For teaching me to see again. For showing me that even when I had lost everything, I still had something. For giving me permission to notice light even while sitting in darkness." Jisei smiled. "I taught you nothing. I only made tea and pointed at snow. The seeing that was your choice. Every day, you chose to notice something small, and those small noticings added up to this, a reason to stay, a connection to life, a thread of gratitude strong enough to pull you forward." Kenji eventually left the tea house when summer came. He did not know where he was going or what he would do, but he knew he would survive. More than survive, he would live, because he had learned something essential, that gratitude is not something you have, it is something you practice. It is a choice you make, again and again, to notice beauty even in the midst of pain, to see gifts even when life has taken much from you. And that practice, that choice, is what makes life bearable, even beautiful, even when it is also hard and sad and full of loss. And now, as the night deepens and the stars turn slowly overhead and the forest sleeps in ancient peace, one last story remains. There was once a young woman named Hana who came to the tea house with everything anyone could want. She was 28 years old, beautiful, intelligent, successful. She had a prestigious job at a large corporation in the city. She had a beautiful apartment, expensive clothes, the latest technology. She could afford to travel, to eat at fine restaurants, to buy whatever caught her eye. By any external measure, her life was enviable, and yet she was deeply, profoundly unhappy. She felt empty, hollow, as if she were going through the motions of a life that looked good on the surface but had no real meaning underneath. She worked long hours at a job that paid well but that she found meaningless. She bought things that brought a brief flash of pleasure followed by nothing. She had many acquaintances but no deep friendships. She was successful but unfulfilled. She had heard about Jisei's tea house from someone at a networking event of all places. A woman who had seemed unusually calm and content had mentioned spending time there, and Hana, desperate for anything that might help her feel less empty, had asked for directions. She arrived at the tea house on a beautiful autumn afternoon when the forest was ablaze with color and the air was crisp and clear. Jisei welcomed her as he welcomed everyone with a bow, with warmth, with tea. They sat together in the simple room, and Hana found herself uncomfortably aware of the contrast between her expensive clothes and designer handbag and the utter simplicity of her surroundings. After they had drunk tea in silence for a few minutes, Jisei asked, "What brings you here?" Hana set down her cup, trying to find words for something she had never really articulated, even to herself. I don't understand. I have everything I thought I wanted. A good job, money, success. But I feel nothing. I feel empty, like none of it matters, like I am just existing, going through motions. She looked at Jisei, searching his face for judgment, but finding only calm attention. Why am I so unhappy when I have so much? What is wrong with me? Jisei refilled her cup, the simple action somehow soothing to watch. Tell me, he said, what did you notice on your walk here through the forest? Hana blinked, surprised by the question. I don't know. Trees, a path. It was nice. What color were the leaves? She hesitated. Yellow and red, I think. You think? Hana felt frustration rise. I don't remember exactly. I was thinking about other things. I was rehearsing what I would say when I got here. I was worried about whether I could find the place. I wasn't really paying attention to leaves. Jisei nodded as if this confirmed something. How did this tea taste? Hana looked down at her cup, confused. It tasted fine, good. What did it taste like? Like tea? Can you describe it more specifically? Hana felt her frustration growing. I don't understand what this has to do with anything. I came here because I am unhappy, and you are asking me about tea and leaves. Yes, Jisei said calmly, because your unhappiness is not about what you have or don't have. It is about how you are present, or rather, how you are not present with your life. He gestured around the room. You said you have everything you thought you wanted. But do you actually have it, or do you just possess it? There is a difference. Hana stared at him, not understanding. Jisei continued. You have expensive clothes, but do you notice the texture of the fabric against your skin? You have beautiful objects, but do you really look at them, appreciate them? You have food, but do you taste it? Or do you eat while looking at screens, thinking about work, distracted by 1,000 things? You walked through a forest in peak autumn color, and you do not remember what you saw. You drank this tea, and you cannot describe its taste. He leaned forward slightly. You are sleepwalking through a life that could be rich with experience, with beauty, with meaning, but you are not present. You are always thinking about the next thing, the next achievement, the next purchase. You are never fully here, And so you have everything and nothing at the same time. Hana felt something crack inside her chest. Tears pricked at her eyes. I don't know how to be present. I don't know how to just be here. My mind is always racing, always planning, worrying, thinking. I know, Jisei said gently. This is the condition of modern life for many people, but it does not have to be your condition. You can learn to be present. You can learn to actually experience your life instead of just rushing through it. And gratitude is the key. Gratitude, Hana repeated. For what? For this? Jisei said, gesturing around them. This moment, this breath, this cup of tea, this conversation. The fact that you are alive and aware and able to experience anything at all. He poured himself more tea and held the cup in both hands, looking at it with a kind of reverence. Most people think they will be happy when they get the right job, the right partner, the right amount of money, the right body, the right life. They spend all their time working toward a future that they believe will finally satisfy them. But it never does, because happiness, real contentment, is not about having the right things. It is about being present with whatever you have. It is about noticing and appreciating and feeling gratitude for what is already here. Hana felt resistance rise in her. But I have worked so hard for what I have. Are you saying none of that matters? I am saying it matters less than you think, Jisei replied. And it matters differently than you think. Success, money, possessions, they are not bad, but they are not enough. They cannot give you what you are seeking. Only presence can do that. Only gratitude. Only the practice of actually experiencing your life instead of constantly racing towards some imagined future. He looked at her with those dark, penetrating eyes. Hana, here is what I invite you to do. Stay here for 3 days. I will teach you a practice. It is very simple. Every evening before you sleep, you will write down 3 things you are grateful for. Not big things necessarily, small things, specific things, things you actually noticed and appreciated during the day. Hana wanted to protest that she didn't have time for this, that she had work, responsibilities, meetings. But something stopped her. Maybe desperation, maybe curiosity, maybe just exhaustion with the way her life had been going. Okay, she said. 3 days. Those 3 days changed her life. At first, the practice felt forced, awkward. The first evening, she sat with a notebook Jisei had given her, trying to think of 3 things she was grateful for. She wrote, "The tea house is peaceful. Jisei seems wise. I have a comfortable place to sleep." Jisei read what she had written and shook his head gently. These are not wrong, but they are abstract. They are general. Try to be more specific, more sensory. What did you actually experience today that you could be grateful for? Hana tried again. The taste of miso soup at dinner, salty and warm and comforting. The feeling of washing my face with cold water from the well. The sound of wind moving through the trees outside my window. Jisei nodded. Better, much better. You are noticing actual experiences. Keep doing this. The second day, Jisei did not let her simply sit inside the tea house. He sent her on walks through the forest with very specific instructions. Walk slowly, stop frequently, look at things, really look, touch things, smell things, listen, do nothing but be present with the forest. At first, this felt impossible. Hana's mind raced with thoughts about work, about emails she should be sending, about tasks she should be doing, but she kept bringing her attention back to what was in front of her, as Jisei had instructed. She noticed things she had never noticed before, even though she had walked through forests many times. the incredible variety of leaf shapes and colors, the way bark differed from tree to tree, rough, smooth, peeling, solid, the smell of decaying leaves and damp earth, the sound of her own footsteps, the play of light through the canopy, creating shifting patterns on the ground, the absolute silence of the deep forest, broken only occasionally by a bird call or the rustle of some small animal. That evening, her gratitude list was longer and more detailed. The pattern of light and shadow on the forest floor, the smoothness of a stone I picked up from the stream, the vivid red of a single maple leaf against dark green moss, the smell of cedar, the way my legs felt strong as I walked up a hill, the quiet of the deep forest, which was not empty but full of subtle sounds, the taste of cold water from the stream. By the third day, something had shifted in Hannah. She found herself naturally noticing things, naturally feeling appreciation, without having to force it. The practice was becoming less mechanical and more genuine. She noticed the particular quality of morning light coming through the paper screens. She noticed the satisfaction of physical work as she helped Jisei carry wood. She noticed the pleasure of simple food eaten with full attention. She noticed the feeling of her own breath moving in and out, something she had never paid attention to in her entire adult life. That evening, she wrote, the way Jisei's hands move when he makes tea, so careful, so precise, so full of respect for each action. The warmth of the sun on my face during my afternoon walk. The taste of rice really tasted, for maybe the first time ever, the feeling of my body being tired in a good way from physical work. The realization that I have been missing my entire life by not being present. The gratitude I feel for Jisei for showing me this. The hope that maybe I can live differently, more fully, more here. When Jisei read this last list, he smiled with genuine warmth. You are beginning to see. You are beginning to understand that gratitude transforms everything. That the same life, the same tea, the same walk, the same breath is completely different when you are present with it, when you notice it, when you appreciate it. On the morning Hannah was to leave, she sat with Jisei for one last cup of tea. I don't want to go back, she admitted. I don't want to return to that life, that rushing, that emptiness. Then don't, Jisei said simply. But I have to. I have responsibilities, bills to pay, a life I have built. You can return to that life, Jisei said, but you do not have to return to that way of being. You can bring presence with you. You can practice gratitude there, in the city, in your work, in your daily life. It is not this place that makes the difference. It is your attention, your choice to notice, to be here. He refilled her cup one last time. Keep practicing. Every evening, write 3 things. Every day, stop to really notice something, anything. A flower, your breath, the taste of food, the feeling of water on your skin, whatever. Just notice, just be present. And slowly, over time, your relationship with your life will change. Not because your life changes, but because you change how you are with your life. Hannah returned to the city, to her job, to her apartment full of expensive things, but she was different. Every evening, she wrote 3 things she was grateful for. Every day, she practiced stopping, noticing, being present even if just for a few moments. At first, it was hard. The city pulled her back into its frenetic pace, its constant demands, but she kept practicing. And slowly, imperceptibly, things shifted. She began to actually taste her food instead of eating while scrolling through her phone. She began to notice the sky, the clouds, the particular quality of city light at different times of day. She began to appreciate her colleagues as individuals with their own lives and struggles, rather than just as roles in her work drama. She began to find beauty in small things: a flower growing through a crack in the sidewalk, the laugh of a child on the street, the warmth of sunlight through her office window. Her work didn't become more meaningful. Her apartment didn't become less materialistic. Her life didn't radically change in external ways. But she changed. And in changing, she found what she had been seeking all along. Not happiness, exactly, but contentment, peace, a sense of being fully alive, fully present, fully here. She had learned what Jisei taught in that small tea house in the forest, that gratitude is not about having more. It is about noticing more, about being present with what you have, whatever that is, about recognizing that every moment contains gifts if you are awake enough to receive them. And that practice, that simple, daily practice of noticing and appreciating, was the difference between a life spent sleepwalking and a life lived fully awake. And now, the night has grown very deep. The fire in the tea house has burned down to glowing embers. The forest outside is silent, wrapped in the profound stillness that comes only in the deepest hours of night, when even the nocturnal creatures have found their rest. You have sat with travelers and students, with grieving men and ambitious women, all of whom came to a simple tea house in a forest and learned the same profound truth: that gratitude is not about having everything you want. It is about seeing everything you have. You have learned what Jisei teaches in that quiet place among the trees, that beauty is everywhere if you have eyes to see it, that the simplest things, tea, warmth, breath, falling leaves, sunlight through windows, are miracles if you are present enough to notice them. That gratitude is not a feeling that sometimes arises when life is good. It is a practice, a choice, a way of moving through the world that transforms everything it touches. And now it is time to let these stories fade like mist in morning sunlight. Let your body sink deeper into rest. Let every muscle soften, releasing whatever tension it has been holding, perhaps for hours, perhaps for days, perhaps for years. Let your breath become so slow and so gentle that it almost disappears, becoming one with the silence around you. Let your heart soften with the knowledge that you already have enough. Not because your life is perfect or because you have everything you want, but because in this moment, you are breathing, you are alive, you are here. And that is extraordinary. That is miraculous. That is enough. You do not need to achieve anything tonight. You do not need to be more than you are. You do not need to fix anything or improve anything or become anything. You only need to rest. To notice perhaps one or two small things before sleep takes you. The softness of the pillow beneath your head, the warmth of the blanket around you, the quiet of the night, the rhythm of your own breath, the simple fact that you are here, safe, resting, held by this moment. These are gifts, small ones, perhaps, but gifts nonetheless. So close your eyes now, if they are not already closed. Feel the peace of the forest around you in your imagination. Feel the warmth of the tea house fire in your heart. Feel the gratitude for this moment, this breath, this rest, and let yourself fall gently, completely, gratefully, into the deep and healing sleep that has been waiting for you all along. Good night.